It was a sunny afternoon in Erie, Pennsylvania, August 28, 2003, a day like any other, or so it seemed. The headline that would soon flash across every television screen was unthinkable. Pizza delivery man robs bank with bomb around his neck. It sounded like something from a Hollywood movie. A man named Brian Wells, a pizza delivery driver for Mamma Mia's Pizzeria, had just walked out of a bank with a bag of cash. And he was telling police he had been forced to do it. A bomb, he said, was locked around his neck, and it was ticking. The call for the pizza had been unusual from the start. It came from a payphone at a gas station directing the driver to a remote address. An address that turned out to be a television transmission tower site at the end of a dark unpaved road. Brian Wells took the order. 2 sausage and pepperoni pizzas. He was a veteran driver, 46 years old, known for being reliable. He had likely driven down countless roads just like this one, but this delivery would be his last. The scene was surreal. A man, a pizza guy, standing in a parking lot, a bomb locked to his body. Live television cameras broadcast the tense standoff to a horrified nation. Brian Wells pleaded with the officers. "It's going to go off," he said, "I'm not lying." He was on his knees, then sitting on the pavement, looking desperate. The police kept their distance, establishing a perimeter. The instructions he carried were handwritten on several pages of paper. They were strange, filled with drawings and complicated directions. He was supposed to follow a path around Erie, collecting clues. The scavenger hunt was designed to test him, to keep him moving. It felt like a game, a very, very sick game. And Brian Wells was the unwilling pawn. The notes warned that he was being watched. Any deviation from the plan, any contact with police, and the bomb would be detonated remotely. With just 3 minutes left on the timer shown in the note, the device began to emit a series of loud, rapid beeps. Wells grew frantic. The officers could only look on, helpless. And then it happened. At 3:18 p.m., a loud explosion echoed through the parking lot. The bomb detonated. Brian Wells was killed instantly, the horrific event captured on live television. The investigation at first went nowhere. The case went cold, weeks turned into months. The bizarre story of the pizza bomber faded from the headlines, but not from the minds of the people of Erie. Then, a tip came in. It was a strange one. A man named Bill Rothstein called 911. He told the police there was a body in a freezer at his house, a house he shared with a woman named Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong. Police rushed to the address given by Rothstein. And there, in a large freezer in the garage, they found the frozen body of James Roden. He had been shot with a shotgun. Bill Rothstein was taken into custody, and so was Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong. But investigators were about to find out that all roads in this twisted case led back to one person. A person with a history of mental illness, a genius-level IQ, and a frightening capacity for manipulation. Her name was Marjorie. She was highly intelligent, a former substitute teacher with a master's degree, but she was also profoundly troubled. She suffered from bipolar disorder and hoarding disorder, and her home was a chaotic mess of piled-up junk. Years earlier, in 1984, she had shot and killed her then-boyfriend Robert Thomas. She was charged with murder but was acquitted, claiming self-defense. And Rothstein began to talk. He told detectives that Marjorie was the mastermind behind the whole thing. So who was this woman, Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong? On the surface, she was just a middle-aged woman living in a cluttered house, but honestly, underneath all that, she was a bundle of contradictions. She was brilliant yet mentally unstable, charming but, dangerously manipulative. Marjorie believed her father was squandering her inheritance, and she was desperate for money to hire a lawyer to fight him. According to Bill Rothstein, this whole inheritance dispute was actually the seed of the entire twisted plot. The bank robbery was supposed to get her the money she needed to get the money she felt she was owed. The plan, as investigators pieced it together, was honestly as complex as Marjorie herself, but she wasn't working alone. Bill Rothstein, a handyman and former love interest, Kenneth Barnes, a fishing buddy and convicted drug dealer whom Marjorie met in rehab, and her boyfriend, James Roden. And of course, the pizza delivery man Brian Wells. The group allegedly planned the heist together at Marjorie's chaotic home, but here's the thing. Was Brian Wells a willing participant who just got cold feet? Or was he, as he claimed in his final moments, a complete stranger, an innocent victim chosen at random? Marjorie's role, according to her co-conspirators, was pretty clear. She was the leader, the brains of the operation. She allegedly came up with the idea for the scavenger hunt and helped write the demanding notes. Bill Rothstein, who was a talented carpenter and tinkerer, was tasked with building the collar bomb. But just before they were about to put the collar on him, he discovered that the bomb was real. Not a fake. like he had been told. He tried to back out, but it was just too late. They forced the collar onto him at gunpoint. The scavenger hunt was a lie, just a red herring. There were no keys. There was no way to disarm the bomb. From the moment they locked that collar around his neck, Brian Wells was a dead man. The plot wasn't just a bank robbery, it was murder. The case against Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong was built piece by piece, like, honestly, a really difficult jigsaw puzzle. For years she denied everything. She claimed she was being framed by Bill Rothstein and Kenneth Barnes. In 2008, Kenneth Barnes pleaded guilty and agreed to testify against Marjorie. His testimony was the key that really unlocked the case. He laid out the entire conspiracy, detailing Marjorie's role as the ringleader. He explained that the motive was her inheritance, and that she killed James Roden to silence him. The trial was a media circus, a final, fascinating look at the woman who had shocked America. She even represented herself for part of it, and her courtroom antics were just as bizarre as the crime itself. In the end, though, the jury saw through all the chaos. In 2010, Marjorie Diehl-Armstrong was found guilty of armed bank robbery, conspiracy, and using a destructive device in a crime of violence. She was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years, making sure she would never be free again. She maintained her innocence until the very end, dying in prison from cancer in 2017. Bill Rothstein, the man who built the bomb, was never charged. He died of cancer in 2004, just before he could be indicted, taking many of the plot's secrets with him to the grave. Was Brian Wells truly a conspirator, or was he an innocent man caught in a deadly trap? His family has always maintained his innocence. The case remains one of the most bizarre and complex in the history of the FBI. It started with a call for pizza on a sunny afternoon and ended in a tangled web of murder, madness, and a freezer full of secrets. A dark chapter for the city of Erie and a story that, even today, is honestly hard to believe.